As a parent, Holly Parsons understands how hard it can be to protect your kids.
I was one of the kids that would go to the internet, the places that you weren't allowed.
So having the option to block her child from things she thinks he shouldn't see is a big deal. Through a proposed bill, any device with internet access from your computer to your smartphone would require a filter to block pornography.
I don't think there's a person in the state that thinks children viewing pornography is a healthy thing.
Products sold in Alabama would need to have that filter, and adults are able to opt out of using it.
Hey folks, Dale Jackson here for Yellowhammer Now. So the Alabama State House passed a law requiring porn blockers be activated on cell phones for minors. And this seems like an absolutely unnecessary intrusion on the production of cell phones or the selling of cell phones here in the state of Alabama. There is a better way to do this. And there's a bill that actually would do this, that is, of course, before the Alabama legislature, that they should take up, because this bill is bad. It's a bad bill. There's zero reason to do it. And I've been doing some reading. Maybe it'll be found unconstitutional. And it's just a ridiculous burden to be put on people who make and sell cell phones. But there was a story recently about the library situation. We've heard a lot about libraries over the last couple of years because, for some reason, librarians and those on the left have decided the correct answer to any library situation is more drag queens. And we've even had some school board members in North Alabama, Andrea Alvarez, suggest that we need more drag queens in schools. So this is apparently the solution to almost everything. But there are people responding to that and saying, no, we're not going to allow drag queens to be around a bunch of minors. Those are called responsible human beings. And there are people who are saying, hey, we've got some issues with some of the content in libraries. So in Orange Beach, they said, why don't we have people who want to have their kids in here sign permission slips for what kind of content their kids can check out? I think that's a completely reasonable way to go about doing things. An interesting idea as they try to avoid the Alabama legislature cracking down on them and mandating something, which I don't think is going to work. But in the article that I read about that story, there's a point made by a parent, I assume sarcastically, talking about, well, what are we going to do? Make them sign permission slips to get on the internet? And this, what an absolute abdication of their responsibility, suggesting that there are bad things on the internet and saying, so what? We're just going to let our kids get on the internet and they're going to see bad things and there's nothing we can do about it. Well, that's not true. There's plenty we can do about it. And a bill has been proposed to require people show their age in order to view porn online. And I think that's a great idea. There's also been ideas about potentially requiring certain ages to be on social media and things like that. I think that's a much more reasonable way to deal with this. So the Alabama legislature, they're trying to attack it on the device level. That's the wrong way to go about it. The correct answer is to go after the certain content. And that's how you're supposed to work with R-rated movies. It's a perfect example. If you want to go see an R-rated movie, you have to show that you're of age in order to go see that, or have a parent with you in order to do so. That's completely reasonable. What would not be reasonable is building different movie theaters that can only show G and PG shows and movies. And that's just not going to work. The way you do it is you go after the content that is the problem. And obviously there are some other issues that are going to come along with this, but that's far more reasonable than going after each individual device and requiring devices sold in the state of Alabama have this filter, and when they're activated and all this other stuff. That's just an unnecessary and unwieldy thing. So the House has passed that bill. The Senate should just let it die because it's nonsense, and they should actually go after the content. There's two ways they should do it. One, require people be 18 before they can look at porn. That would be good. People are realizing that porn has been very bad for our society. And two, on the social media front, requiring them to be at least 16 years old. I think that would be a good idea as well. That was going to be a heavier lift. Kids are going to find their ways around it. Yeah, that's true. They find their ways around a whole bunch of different stuff. They find a way to get alcohol. They find a way to get cigarettes. They find a way to do all sorts of things you don't want them to do. That's not a reason not to do it. You don't just say kids are going to drink, so we should allow alcohol to be everywhere. You do what's best for them, and the ones that can circumvent that, they can do so to their own detriment, but you should try to stop them because it's the right thing to do. So the Alabama legislature has some choices to make here. You can go after each individual device and put some porn blocker on there that can be disabled with the password, or you go after the content, which is probably the right thing to do.